Stoics weren't calm by nature. They were forged, like blades, sharpened through resistance. They trained for self-control like a warrior trains for war. Seneca wrote, "He robs present ills of their power, who has perceived their coming beforehand." The Stoics imagined the worst, not to suffer early, but to prepare. Before entering a room, they would ask, what could go wrong? What would test my anger? What insult could I face? And then they rehearsed their response. So when hardship arrived, they weren't surprised. They were ready. You don't train during the storm. You train before it. Try this. Before a meeting, visualize being disrespected. Imagine being ignored, tested, humiliated. Then visualize yourself remaining still, unbothered, clear. You're not manifesting failure. You're rehearsing dominance over your emotions. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations for an audience. He wrote it as a commander speaks to a soldier, and that soldier was himself. Every morning, every night, he confronted his own weakness on the page. He wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being." Journaling was not a therapy tool. It was a mirror, a sword, a way to inspect his thoughts, cut away delusion, and rebuild with discipline. Practical tip: journal like a strategist. Ask what weakness showed itself today. Ask, what would Marcus have done? Ask, did I act from reason or from impulse? Write with brutal clarity, not as a victim, but as a strategist refining the mind. The Stoics practiced a delayed response rule. When insulted, they said, pause, delay, observe. You don't need to speak, not yet. You don't need to act, not yet. This pause is where control begins. Epictetus taught his students, if someone irritates you, it is your judgment that disturbs you, not the person. The goal isn't to feel nothing. It's to respond with intention, not instinct. Train your nervous system to pause. Start with 5 seconds. Next time someone disrespects you, pause. Observe your desire to strike back, then choose. That moment of delay, that's where power lives. Seneca wrote, set aside a few days each month. Wear rough clothes, eat little. Say to yourself, is this the condition I feared? This wasn't poverty, it was armor. The Stoic trained himself to be at peace in discomfort. Today, this looks like cold showers, fasting, turning off your phone for 24 hours, walking instead of driving, choosing silence over escape. Each act says, I am not ruled by comfort. That's control, not reacting to the body's whining, but commanding it. So now we understand the tools. Mental rehearsal, strategic journaling, response delay, voluntary hardship. But what happens when the real test comes? A betrayal, a loss, a failure, a storm. This is where self-control becomes battle-tested. Anyone can seem calm when life is soft, but self-control means nothing until it meets the storm. Marcus Aurelius buried 8 of his 13 children. He faced plague, betrayal, war, and every day he wrote reminders to himself like these. You may leave this life at any moment. Let that determine what you do and say. Choose not to be harmed, and you haven't been. Seneca was exiled, watched friends executed, then was ordered to take his own life by Emperor Nero. He slit his wrists, calmly, dictated a final Stoic essay as he bled out. Even in death, he chose how to respond. Epictetus, born a slave, beaten so badly his leg was permanently crippled. But when asked how he endured it, he replied, you may bind my leg, but not even Zeus can touch my will. This is Stoic control, not the absence of pain, but the refusal to let pain rule you. Ask yourself, can you remain calm when insulted? Can you face death with dignity? Can you sit in the fire and still choose clarity? The storm is not the enemy, the reaction is. The Stoics didn't numb emotion, they transformed it. Anger became strategy, pain became discipline, loss became fuel. They did not avoid the darkness, they entered it with a light. And that light was self-control. So when the betrayal comes, when the loss hits, when the world collapses, the Stoic remains. not because he feels nothing, but because he has trained for this. You will not always control what happens, but you will always control this, how you respond. The Stoics were not perfect. They got angry, they grieved, they fell, but they trained their minds as if it were a weapon, because they knew the greatest battles were never fought out there. They were fought within. In a world of noise, they chose silence. In a culture of indulgence, they chose restraint. And in a time of empire and chaos, they ruled themselves. And now the choice is yours. You can live like the average man, reacting, complaining, submitting to impulse. Or you can live like a strategist, calm, focused, unshaken. The most powerful man in the Roman Empire could have anything, kill anyone, command legions. And yet, he wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That man was Marcus Aurelius, emperor, philosopher, and more importantly, a strategist of the self. In a world addicted to impulse, where emotions control people like puppets, the ability to remain calm is now a superpower. This video will not teach you how to feel better. It will teach you how to gain control of your emotions like a warrior sharpening a blade. Because the world respects calm men and fears the ones who cannot be rattled. Look around you. The average man is a slave, not to chains, but to impulse. He checks his phone before his eyes even adjust to light. He scrolls, reacts, consumes, then repeats it all again. He is not choosing. He is being pulled. Pulled by anger, pulled by anxiety, pulled by validation, pulled by fear. He lashes out at strangers online. He can't sit still in silence for 10 minutes. He explodes in traffic. He numbs himself with dopamine, then wonders why he feels empty. This is not power. This is not control. This is how empires fall, not with fire, but with rot from within. Marcus Aurelius ruled over Rome, but the real war he fought every day was against himself. He wrote more about his own anger than he did about enemies, more about resisting temptation than commanding armies. Why? Because the Stoics understood something modern people have forgotten. The first battlefield is your mind. Lose there, and you've already lost everywhere else. And yet we hand over our emotions like weapons to anyone who provokes us. A rude comment, a headline, a breakup, and we collapse. The Stoic sees this and refuses. Seneca once said, "You must hold your mind like a fortress." So the question is this: how do you build that fortress? How do you make your emotions serve you instead of rule you? Epictetus was born a slave. He was beaten, starved, shackled. But when asked what a man needs to be free, he said only one thing: some things are within our control, and some are not. This is the first law of Stoic power, the dichotomy of control. What you control, your thoughts, your reactions, your beliefs, your actions. What you don't control, other people, events, outcomes, the past, the future. The average man lives in the second column. He tries to control women, control time, control perception, and when he fails, he collapses. The Stoic doesn't do this. He says, let others act with chaos. I will respond with reason. This mindset turns a man from reactive to ruthless with his focus. It removes wasted energy. It builds calm, not from passivity, but from precision. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wasn't poetry, it was strategy. A battle-tested emperor reminding himself, don't waste time on what you can't control. But the Stoics didn't stop at awareness. They practiced drills, mental tactics, inner warfare. Because knowing is not power. Mastery comes from repetition, training, conditioning the soul. And the greatest Stoics, they train like soldiers of the mind.